everyone. My name's Devin, you're watching Stormy Books, and today we're going to be looking at The Gunslinger. A quick summary of The Gunslinger is that it's about this man named Roland, who's sort of like a trained assassin type. He's traversing the desert in order to catch up with this man in black, who's been avoiding him for a long time, and it seems like he's been on the chase for a while. The story is basically exposition, so a lot of it just kind of explains Roland's background or the other characters that he meets up with, their background, or kind of what's going on. But still, the story is like pretty confusing. This leads me to my cons section. I'm going to have a pros and cons section in, I think, all my book reviews, so I thought I'd start with what I disliked about this book and then end on a positive note with what I do like about it. My first con is that the character doesn't really have an explained purpose. We know that he's trying to find the Dark Tower, but we don't really know why other than it's his duty, which is kind of confusing and unsettling. The second thing that I didn't really like about this book was the amount of illusions that were in it. I'm one who likes a couple illusions here or there, but in this book I feel like the illusions really made it seem dated. This book was written in the 1980s, and you could kind of tell through what their references were in this book. Another issue that I found with this book is that it could be difficult to follow because there are a lot of flashbacks throughout it, and some of them are very long. So you might, if you pick it up one day and then you pick it up 5 days later, you might forget like where you are and whether it's in the past or the present. So that could be really confusing for readers who take a longer amount of time to read. This book is 300 pages, and it didn't take me that long to read, but if you don't have a lot of time on your hands or if you're just a slower reader, I recommend caution when approaching it. The last con that I have for this book was the fact that I couldn't really catch my bearings on the story by the end of it. I still don't really know enough about Roland's past, the main character, to put together any sort of ideas in my head about like where he lived and like what that looked like. We get glimpses of it, but not enough to really put together a good picture. I also don't really know where this story is going. I mean, obviously Roland's going to find the Dark Tower, but still, like, we don't get a full picture of how he's going to get there or what that's going to look like. And maybe that's okay, but it just is really confusing to me. All right, now on to the pros. Something I really liked about this novel was the fact that Roland was a very three-dimensional character. He did both like things that most people would consider good and most people that would consider bad, and some things that might seem arrogant or I don't know, just non-traditional. As a main character, I feel like a lot of what I read, the main character has to be this great person. They have to do everything right, but in this novel, Roland makes a lot of questionable decisions, and you hear about his past and you start to wonder whether or not he really is the hero of this story, and that's something I really enjoyed about it. My second pro was the epicness of this novel. I really love a good story that takes place in like a vast terrain, and I really enjoyed meeting all the people that he met along the way. It's really interesting to watch Roland interact with other characters and so many, and it's a very traditional epic fantasy story. The last pro that I have to share with you is the prophesizing. Prophesizing? Is that the word? I don't know. But the fortune telling that kind of goes on in this novel. In one scene, we learn about an oracle that kind of gives Roland like a little glimpse into what his future might look like. And at the very end of the novel, there's also a tarot card reading. Tarot or tarot, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. But it really helped me get engaged with the novel and be interested because I find those kinds of future predicting aspects of stories to be really interesting. Okay, so overall, I give Stephen King's The Gunslinger 3.5 stars out of 5. I think it was pretty good, but there are still definitely things that I didn't like about it. If you're interested in following me on Goodreads, you can see my review on my Goodreads page. I'll leave a link in the description. But yeah. All right, what's next for me? I'm gonna read the Satanic Verses by Salman Rushdie next. I know in my last video that was not a book in my TBR, but I am going to London this summer on a study abroad, so I really need to get a head start in my readings for that class. So that's what I plan on reading next. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.